Welcome to Legends in the Making, where we don't chase success, we embody it. I'm your host, Erin Sarles Bowers, conscious strategist, shamanic mentor, and founder of Blueprint to Bluechip and the legendary leadership alignment method. If you're the kind of person others admire, but deep down you're feeling tired, misaligned, or underexpressed, this episode is for you. So, have you ever felt like everything looks right, but something doesn't feel right? And I can actually speak to a large portion of this, and not in the sense of making this about me, but really sharing so that this might trigger in you something within yourself to connect in with. And I can think of many moments throughout my corporate career. Um, that we could be here all day, really, if I really dove into this. But where I had incredible success in every organization I was in. I was an achiever. I got top notch results. I had admiration and respect. I had stretch assignments. I always felt valued, but there was something underneath where it was like something's just not aligned. And I think this happens for more people than they even realize. We wake up and we start going through the motions. And I think I lived the vast majority of my life going through the motions, not truly understanding what was actually at play, what was truly going on, and really understanding what's the point of work itself sometimes. Why do we show up to work? How often do we feel like we are fully expressed in the work that we're doing versus just going through the motions? And I remember a lot of companies I worked for where it was like job, love, and all these things, but it was like, what was the purpose of what I was really doing? And was I really following my purpose? Each one of us is gifted here with a God-given purpose, something that we were brought in for to add to the world. And I don't think we do a very good job of understanding the essence of who we are. Even with our kids, it's like, do my kids understand God put you here for a divine reason, for a specific purpose? And are you aligning and stepping in to that God-given greatness? Because our worthiness is already ordained. We don't have to prove anything to anyone because we're made in the image and likeness of God. We are an emanation of Source, God Himself, being expressed through our own individual perspective with our own unique energetic blueprint. And why did God put us here? What were we brought here to do? And finding that dharma, that deep, fulfilling purpose of why you incarnated is why we are here. And when we're not in that alignment, everything feels off. I can look at my life and think about my calling and what I'm supposed to do. Yes, did things that I did in my past careers, etc., help me kind of express that or find that? Sure, but I never really felt alive with this is my true calling. Most of the time, I was going through the motions, being an individual doer, thinking that I was the one causing all the things to happen into my world, which, yes, I am the creator of my own reality. But rather than focusing on who am I being and why am I here to serve and who am I here to serve and what is truly my purpose of why I incarnated on the planet, I was going through the motions, doing what I thought I needed to do because that's just how society worked. And the reality is until I really started to go through my spiritual awakening and really understand even the universe and the laws that govern the universe and how the universe works and how we're truly supposed to be, I just was an individual doer living from my ego, thinking that I was the one really driving success. And that's a very hollow and empty feeling to realize that those things don't truly matter. What mattered was who I was being and how did I impact others around me. And oftentimes, I think we don't listen to the small, still voice, which is God, source, the universe, the divine, that's nudging us for there's more for you. You're sacred. You are worthy. You are me. You are the creator of your reality. And here's what you're supposed to be doing. But our ego gets so drowned out. And I think about working with both student athletes as well as high performance executives and CEOs. The work really is the same. It's different. There's a greater opportunity to mold the younger generation and shape how they're then going to go be as adults because they have less years layered onto them that you don't have to break that patterning. But are we teaching our kids, you came here with a great purpose? And how did the things you choose to do help you live that purpose? You know, what does athletics do for you? What is it teaching you? You know, all of those things are part of the progression of lessons and of learning. And are we helping our young adults tap in to who they are and who they're supposed to be? And doing that earlier on versus the adults that I work with, they're starting to wake up and figure it out. It's like I have felt misaligned all my life, or I'm having this discomfort, or I'm achieving results, but it doesn't feel successful, or I'm not achieving results like I used to. Why is it not working? And that's what we're here to unpack and really learn. So, you know, I oftentimes hear this and I think, you know, I wonder if any of you can relate out there. Have you ever looked around and thought, I should be grateful, but I'm still not at peace? Like, comment below. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear where it's like, I'm trying to be in the energy of gratitude. They say gratitude is one of the highest energy forms. I should just be grateful for this, but I'm just so unhappy, or I'm just so unsettled. I don't feel at peace. And you can be grateful for the lessons that you're learning, but also realize what's causing me that misalignment and how do I step through that into finding peace? And are we hanging on to pieces that we control because that feels safe? So is that tug where we're not feeling at peace because we're not willing to surrender and trust and step into a place of the unknown, knowing that we want to head in the direction of peace rather than clinging on to our familiar reality? So, what is the real cost of being misaligned? Misalignment doesn't always show up as chaos. Oftentimes, it shows up as low grade exhaustion, constant pivots, indecision, or apathy. Have you ever felt like you can't move forward anywhere, get anything done, and you're like, why am I just circling the block, kind of essentially? And it's like, we circle the block because we don't want to look at what's really going on. Most misalignment occurs because we're unwilling to truly look within ourselves and find out what we really want, but then do the work that gives us what we want. Are we willing to look at our distortions? Are we willing to look at our triggers and really understand, what am I supposed to be learning? What's my soul's lesson, so that I can continuously step into that next level of being and step into who I'm supposed to be? That's where most misalignment comes from in all the coaching work that I'm doing, is because people don't really want to look internally and do the work. They don't want to do the work. And we oftentimes think that the most dangerous place to be is rock bottom, but it really is the almost. I almost did it. I almost did that. And are we willing to look within ourselves and go, did I fully express myself and do my very best? Did I show up in greatness? Greatness is our birthright. Doing the work every day to be great, that's our responsibility. Do we look at ourselves, and are we willing to constantly be stepping in to putting in the work to being incredible? We have created a very apathetic, very lazy society where it's like we want, when I think of like all the stuff that's out there, it's kind of a little bit, for a lack of better terms, a little hocus pocus, in the sense of, yes, you have to train your mind to have right thought, but you also have to be equally as diligent about being the doer of those thoughts. We came here to balance between the spiritual realm and the physical realm, to be equally divine and equally human. So it's great to go, I'm the creator of my reality. I'm just going to pray and manifest and manifest and manifest and manifest. Well, if you don't take any actions towards that manifestation, just having the thoughts of how to manifest isn't going to bring it in. You actually have to be in action in order to receive it. It's already done, but are you willing to do the work that aligns with it? People want, all this to flood in, but most people don't want to do the work in order to receive it, which means it's the internal work of understanding who you are and who you're being, and getting rid of all the negative distortions that are holding you back from stepping in to greatness. It's not about your effort. It's about your energetic alignment. I coach this relentlessly, and it takes a lot for people to understand that it's not about what you're doing, it's who you're being. When you think about the law of reaping and sowing, of cause and effect, of giving and receiving, the seed that you're planting and the energy in which you're planting it with becomes the fruit of your labor. So if you're planting a seed with negativity, and then you're looking at your output and going, why is there no fruit on my tree? Well, what's the seed that you planted? Or, if you're planting a seed of chaos and desperation and lack, and you're like, I want this to be the most abundant tree in the orchard. Well, if it was planted with lack and chaos and, all these kind of negative energies, how do you expect it to be bearing fruitful? They always say the fruit is a reflection of the character. So if you've got good fruit, you know that the tree then is good. If the fruit is bad, you know that the tree is bad. So do you look at the fruits of your labor and go, what did I plant? Did I plant that with love? Did I plant that with clarity? Did I plant that with the knowingness that God put me here to do that work? And this is what I'm supposed to be doing so that I can reap the harvest that God wants to provide to me in the infinite abundance that He is, because I'm doing the work that He's called me to do, and I'm truly in service of others. Is that the seed I just planted so that then I can reap the harvest that I want? Every time something happens, the only work you have to do is to look internally. There's no one else to look at, only you. So that's why I started Blueprint to Bluechip and Legendary Leadership Alignment Method, not to launch a brand, but to answer a soul's calling, to understand that we came here to remember the infinite abundance, the infinite goodness, the all-knowingness that God brought us here to be. We really are in a stage of remembering and unlearning, remembering the true essence of who we are and unlearning all the societal constructs and all the things that have taken us out of separation from knowing that. That's what we came here to do. We came here to step into our divine birthright of our inherent goodness, our inherent abundance, and the worthiness that God ordained us to be. That's why we arrived here. Each one of us with a unique gift and a unique soul blueprint, each one of us with a unique mission, and for each one of us to fulfill that, because when we each fulfill our divine calling and step into our divine birthright, we actually create heaven on earth. And the work that we do is always on ourselves. Because in understanding that, when I work on myself, I give everybody else access to do the same work, as well as when I do the internal work for myself and understand my only job is to understand where people are at and love where people are at. That's all. I don't have to agree with it. I'm not here to change it. It just means I can hold space and recognize to know where people are at and truly understand why they are the way that they are, because they weren't meant to be any different. So guess what? The only job that you can do is love them where they're at. That doesn't mean you have to stay in orbit or in contact with any of them. The loving thing to do is recognize who they are, create that space, offer that space, and in that, what they do with that is their choice. We are not here to put the oxygen mask on anybody else. We're here to put it on ourselves. And I think that's so important from a parenting perspective. That's one of the reasons why I'm super passionate about Blueprint, is because I have 2 kids of my own. And one of the lessons that I've learned as a parent is that they're whole and complete souls. They are whole and complete individuals. And my job is to offer them space to know that there's nothing wrong with them, that they are not broken, and to step into their God-given potential versus being lazy or feeling victimized or being over-identified in certain ways. You know, they were created whole and complete. Are we giving them access to remember that versus like, oh, yeah, I mean, gosh, the world's so hard. Yeah, like you're so victimized. Poor you. Yeah, woe is me. No, this is a situation. What are you learning from it? What are you learning? It was gifted to them to grow. We also were here to not stop any of our children's lessons. They already contracted in, they already agreed to it. They have the capability and capacity to handle anything that life throws at them, just like you as an adult do. Can you provide the support and guidance to help them along the way? That's our role as a parent, but not to subvert what they are here to learn and do. So the work that I'm called for is deeply personal to me. As a mom, as a former executive in corporate America, I want people to feel alive. I want people to remember who they are. And I want people to lead from their God-given gifts that God put them here to be, whether you're a 15-year-old football player or a 45-year-old executive within an organization. We are here to be alive. We are here to make a difference. And we are here to change the trajectory of the world. And the way that we do that is through our own individual healing and action. So if you want to work with me, I have 2 opportunities. Either as a leader, you can do 5 days with me for a clarity and reset of where you're at energetically as a leader, or for families with young athletes that want to help them step into greatness. I have a 5-day Raising Exceptional one-on-one reset that we take you through to help you realign into the greatness and to develop routines and habits that help keep reinforcing that day after day after day. So reach out to me, DM me, 5-day reset, leader, parent. I will get you booked into my calendar. We'll get you started. Let's get going today. Your legacy doesn't begin when the world sees you. It begins when you stop betraying your alignment. So thank you for tuning in to Legends in the Making. If this stirred something in you, that's not random. That's alignment knocking at your door. Take a friend, share this with your circle, or send me a DM and let's talk about the path forward, because you weren't born to blend in. You were born to build a legacy from soul, not systems. So I look forward to connecting with all of you.